Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is January 28th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see the atmospheric river associated with this tropical and subtropical air moving into the Pacific Northwest. And in the meantime, we're going to be pretty warm here across the state of California. However, I want you to pay attention to this cooler air here across some of western Alaska and the Aleutian Islands, as this is going to march a powerful frontal system down the state of California, and that's going to usher in a big pattern change as we go on in through the upcoming week towards next week. And we'll dive into those details as we go through the video here this morning. Looking at the GFS, this is hot off the presses. We got the northern hemisphere. You can see Alaska, California, Hawaiian Islands, kind of the bottom left there, and Japan. If I put this into motion, you can see that cooler air spilling out over the Gulf of Alaska, developing a deep low pressure center right off the Pacific Northwest. It's going to usher in that frontal system as we go through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And there goes our pattern change. We have additional storm development potentially here as we go through the extended. Now, looking at national blend of models, check out the 2-meter temperature here for today. Fairly warm across much of the state and coastal areas. Look at Southern California up towards 80 degrees as we go through tomorrow. And another fairly warm day here across much of the region, and Tuesday as well. And then we go to Wednesday and Thursday, and look at that frontal system just change things up. Big pattern change coming here by the time we go into Thursday and Friday and on and through the next weekend upcoming here. So yeah, be prepared for that. We might even bring some mountain snowfall here if things line up just right, and hopefully a lot of it. Taking a look at forecast versus records, look at Santa Rosa, Napa, San Francisco. You can see San Jose potentially breaking all-time daily record highs today, and maybe tomorrow as well for a few locations, probably not hitting January all-time records. And this is a nice graphic here from the National Weather Service, San Francisco Bay Area. Check out the rain timing and intensity for San Luis Obispo. You can see, of course, as you go off down to the south and east, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and then eventually Los Angeles and San Diego as you go through Wednesday night to Thursday. And you can see the snow levels initially high will be crashing down by the time we get towards Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. More on that here as we go. This is the weather risk outlook here for the next few days. Again, dealing with the heat. This is San Diego National Weather Service, and then the frontal systems marching down the state. And then you can see the heavy rain, wind, and some snow potential for the higher elevations of Southern California as we go on into February 1st and February 2nd. That's Thursday and Friday upcoming. Now, taking a look at the day 3 excessive rainfall outlook, this is just very early Wednesday morning. Then you can see we really ramp things up here as we go through the day. Wednesday, some slight risk north of the Bay Area. And this, again, is subject to some upgrade here over the next few days, no doubt. And this would be day 5. So they are paying attention to this frontal system. It's going to drop a lot of rainfall in a pretty short amount of time across many of the coastal areas especially. Now, looking at the dynamic tropopause potential temperatures. So this is looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere. And you can see that we're looking at sea level pressure here on the right. So in the meantime, we got that high pressure here. We got some of the offshore winds going on, and we're staying pretty warm here as we go through Tuesday. However, look at this deep low out there, and you can really see it spinning up there on the tropopause potential temperature as well. And that's what's going to be ushering in this frontal system. Look at that cold air just arriving and blasting down the state of California here. And then we have additional storm system development potentially after that. Now, looking at total precipitation in inches on the latest national blend of models. In fact, let me upgrade that because I think we have the 15Z. We do, and there it is. So we're going to scroll on into the future here, and you can see as we go through today and tomorrow, no rainfall expected across the state of California. We go on into the day Tuesday, and some of that starts encroaching on some of Northern California by the time we go into Tuesday evening and nighttime hours. Then as we go through Wednesday morning, this is going to start to move down the state here, and you can see some really robust precipitation amounts starting to show up here, and this is going to be falling pretty fast and furious. The powerful frontal system, we're going to have gusty winds, we're going to have thunderstorm potential also, and then you can see this moving down as we go through late Thursday morning at this time period, and then we go on into Thursday afternoon and on into Thursday night and Friday. And so pretty good precipitation maker across the Sierra Nevada and especially some of the coastal areas. And again, there's probably going to be higher localized amounts as well. The water off the coastline here is very warm, so it's going to give it that little bit of kick. We're going to get more convective available potential energy than we normally would. Some thunderstorm activity and some locally intense rainfall could be occurring with this frontal system. So you could get some of that urban and small stream flooding. And this is the sea surface temperature anomaly. So, you can clearly see it here, folks. We're really going to be adding a punch to any frontal system that really drops down across the state here, as long as we're dealing with this very warm water off the coastline, relatively speaking, I should say. Now, looking at the Canadian versus the GFS. So we're kind of looking at the timing of things here. And again, we're going to be pretty warm the next few few days. As you can see, no rainfall expected. By the time we get in towards Tuesday, you can see that precip start to lap at the northwest California coastline, and then you can see a little bit of disagreement still in the timing of this system. The Canadian has been a little bit more aggressive with that frontal system as we go through late Wednesday morning here, and the GFS hanging back a little bit more to the north and west, but you can see pretty potent frontal system here. If we continue on, you can see some of this activity moving down towards the Bay Area as we go on and through the day Wednesday. And again, the GFS a little bit slower here, but you can see it's pretty potent looking here on both models, the Canadian and the GFS. And again, some locally pretty intense amounts are going to be falling in a short amount of time. And then we scroll off into the future a little bit more here. And then there's this next system out here, and you can see the big model disagreement showing up through the extended forecast. The GFS, the latest 12Z run, actually has us a bit closer to the coastline. But as you can see here, some of this moisture is going to try to get towards California, even on the Canadian model. And this goes on in through, 200 hours out. So we'll be watching that system closely out here, because if it sets up right, it could bring some mountain snows or even some flooding potential across much of the state. So looking at the European, this is yesterday's afternoon's run. This is the Ensemble mean versus itself of yesterday, 12-hour difference. This is yesterday morning on the right. So if we put this into motion, one good thing about the European, it's usually very consistent, and it doesn't go through these wild model to model swings, but you can see it does upgrade some of the precipitation amounts with that most recent Ensemble run, and you can kind of see some big amounts up and down the coastline here. So I'm not seeing it's going to be as bad as what San Diego got with that last round, but there is that potential here, folks. This is a pretty potent frontal system. And then we kick that one through, and we get the colder air coming across the region, and then this next system here, and you can see it has the potential to spread some precip back up over California as well. As we look off into the extended forecast, and then some of the models are even hinting at remaining in kind of this westerly, northwesterly flow with cooler air and potential to build some mountain snows through the extended, but we're not even going to get caught up in that yet. Just kind of throwing that out there. This is looking at the spaghetti plot. You can kind of see why we're warm. You can see this high pressure over the Great Basin, the low pressure here. We got that southerly subtropical flow going to the Pacific Northwest, some offshore winds warming things up across California. And as we start to scroll through here, I'm just going to go ahead and play it out. Then you can see that frontal system clearly coming down the state of California as we go on in through the Wednesday and Thursday time frame. And then this is the problem when you look off into an extended forecast. You can see these noodles just start going all over the place. And this is mean sea level pressure, by the way, but you can kind of see that low pressure center out here as we go on in towards the following weekend with that next system there. So you can kind of see it. It'd be like if you're looking at a crystal ball and things are looking pretty murky. So that's why we don't have great confidence in those extended forecasts. But as we back up, you can kind of see how those spaghetti lines match up much better in the short term of a forecast. Now, taking a look here, this is something interesting as well. I showed a little bit of this yesterday. So this is 1 through 25 of the Ensemble members in the European. It runs 50 of these guys. So you can kind of look at these individual Ensemble members, and you can kind of pick out patterns and how this is going to unfold. And you can see by the time we get towards Tuesday night and Wednesday, just really good agreement on that deep low and the frontal system coming for California. That's why our forecasts are so downright confident with that frontal system at this point. And I could click on 26 through 50, but you just have to take my word for it. We're not going to do that here today. But if we look at the 24-hour running total here, Kuchera ratio, state of California right there versus the European. Let's put that into motion and check out the timing of the frontal system again here and kind of see how it correlates with some of this potential snowfall we have. So as we go on in through the day Wednesday, you can see early Wednesday morning impacting Northern California. So about any point really afternoon on Wednesday, you can start to see some of that very heavy rainfall, especially just north of the Bay Area. Then that's going to swoop down across the Bay Area, down the Central Coast, towards Santa Barbara by the time you get towards Thursday morning. And you can see we start to pile up some snow across the Sierra Nevada and Northern California here as well. And check it out, some snow even starting to fly across some of Southern California, higher terrain also. Maybe Big Bear will get some snow out of this also. But you can see some of these very heavy precipitation totals showing up. These are 6-hour totals down towards the Los Angeles metro, over an inch towards 2 inches in a 6-hour period, moving all the way down Oceanside, San Diego, and that big pattern change will be rolling in here towards the end of the week. And then we look off into the future a little bit more and see what the European does with that secondary system here. And look at this. If that comes in right, you could really build some nice snow across some of the central and southern Sierra Nevada, and another round of snow for Southern California, higher terrain as well. So exciting stuff to look at as we go through the extended. Now, this is looking at Mount Shasta. We're looking all the way out into early February, but you can see initially things pretty warm across much of the state. But look at that cold front and the crash by the time we go on into the day Thursday and then on into Friday morning. Big crash, very cold air. Snow levels are really going to rapidly drop here behind that frontal system. This is Truckee Tahoe Airport. Similar thing there as well. The crash really comes on the day Thursday. And this is Big Bear. You can see maybe on into Thursday night, the big crash coming as well. And this is looking at that snowfall potential here as we go on in towards, this would be Thursday afternoon on into Friday. So there is some snow potential there for some of the higher terrain in Southern California as well. Just wanted to point that out. Still have a few days to watch this, of course, so we're not going to get too caught up in the details just yet. Here we go with 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook. We're now getting to that time frame. This goes through February 6th, where you can see that cooler trough setting up across the west coast. 8 to 14 day, nothing different. Much of the west coast below average at that point. And 6 to 10 day precipitation still showing above average. You know, some of those systems could be trekking in off the Pacific Ocean as we go all the way in towards February 10th. And looking at the snowpack here, just to remind you here, we're right about the 25th percentile here for the entire state. So hopefully we can really start to pile up some snow and get back towards normal for this time of year. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station, click on that link down below to save 10% off. I've clicked on some of these stations here, and it's fun to watch these. You know, you can just go to your individual neighborhood and see what your neighbors station is doing, or you can kind of scroll all across the USA. Very fun weather station, and it stores a lot of data for you in the cloud. So anyway, if you want one, I highly recommend that one. It's very good, especially for the price. But yeah, a few more warm days here to go, and then that frontal system is going to march down the state. Seems like we've been talking about it for at least a week now or so, and it continues to be on track. And you can see that cold air that's going to be setting up that frontal system, spilling across the Aleutians as we speak. But anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. As we get closer to this frontal system, I do have a few days off next week, so we'll probably be doing a live stream as that starts to approach, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Probably Tuesday, actually. It would line up a little bit better because we'll be able to see that big storm developing here on the infrared satellite imagery. We'll be able to watch that frontal system just approaching the California coastline here, and we'll have much better model agreement. We'll be able to take a look at some of the high resolution models as well and kind of see what kind of precipitation totals they are showing, because they can be better at picking out individual amounts and kind of hitting on some of those localized amounts that may occur with a strong frontal system that drops down the state. But anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.